Hello people of YouTube, my name is Brad. This is my channel Adamant Orange, where I build and review a lot of 3D metal models, and welcome to my review video for the Old Country Church by Metal Earth. Now this model, I'll start off by saying, was sent to me by Metal Earth for me to build and review, so thank you very much for sending me this model, and I'm going to give you my honest review of its build. And quite frankly, this was a bit simpler than I expected it to be. A lot of times I see these buildings like this and I think large big pieces, it's probably not going to be that complicated, and then I turn around and start putting it together and go, wow, what was I thinking? I shouldn't have expected an easy build. But this one was pretty straightforward and not complicated at all. I was very surprised. It was a pleasant, nice, fairly easy to put together build. I made a comment to a friend of mine that I thought this one was fairly easy, and they said, well, maybe you're just getting really good at the models. Maybe. I do have a lot of build under my belt, a lot of Metal Earth and other 3D metal model builds, but still I think this one just does have a lot of large pieces, and it's fairly simple to put together. The only really complicated part is at the back door and the front door. There are some rather small lights that have tiny parts, but really, if you have any experience with building these models, it's two small little tabs to bend over, some precision tweezers to help guide it into place, and twist the tabs. There you go. Really easy. The steps, the front steps and the back steps, is a little bit of a challenge because the folds are so tiny. If you just take your time and carefully use a larger tool to bend the flaps over evenly and just work your way through each flap slowly and carefully, they're not that hard to form. Putting the sides on, not that challenging. With the front steps and the back steps, when you're putting the sides on, I think the directions say to twist the tabs, but I wanted to fold them over for a cleaner look with the front steps. I initially did a light twist, which is something I do a lot when I want to fold the tab, but it's a delicate or shaky part and I need to build more of it before it becomes sturdy. I'll lightly twist the tabs, and that's what I did with the sides until I attached the whole front steps to the building. Then I was able to come back, untwist, and fold those over because it was more secure. I did something similar with the back. I folded them over, but I didn't really lightly twist them because the way the back comes together, there's less structure to it. So I did carefully fold one tab down and one tab up. So the back steps, unlike the front, there's only one tab on one of the side rails and not a tab on the other side rail. So more care needs to be given that the side pieces don't sag or fold inward. So I bent one tab up and one tab down to hold it in place. Whereas the front steps, I just bent them both down because there's an extra supporting tab on each side holding it where it needs to be. Really, those two things are not complicated at all. Just a little bit of patience, and there you go. The hardest part is probably putting the steeple together, which really steel is not that complicated. That's where you get into the smaller parts. The angles of the top are a little bit more complicated. The way the front and the back pieces, there's like part of it's a front piece and part of it's a back piece, and they kind of come together a little odd. It's really not hard to figure out. And if you watch the build video, there was a tiny little bit of struggle as I figured some of the angles out as I was putting it together. But again, not that hard. Getting the bell in between the two pieces, precision tweezers, and once you've kind of mostly folded the part in place, pry it open just enough to get one tab in and then the other, fold it back shut, there you go. So really, even though this is the hardest part, it's still not hard. This model came together pretty quickly. Now overall, this build took just over an hour. I think it was like 69 minutes to put this entire thing together. So I did it in one sitting, which I don't really do that often anymore, with the exception of Legends models. Legends models are usually short enough that I can put them together in one sitting, but when it comes to longer models, I don't make myself do them all at once anymore. I take breaks in between, end up with a better product, and I also have a lot of other things that tend to pop up and keep me busy. But this was all in one sitting, which I really haven't done a bigger than Legends model all in one sitting. So 69 minutes, not that bad at all. A couple other little notations when you're putting on this front tower piece. There's two tabs that are visible and two tabs that are not. The two that are not lower down, they're twisted. The two that are up top are folded. That's just going to give you a neater look, while the bottom is a more secure connection. And then the edge pieces along all of the roof, there's single pieces. Some of the shorter pieces, like this back and front section, I tried to bend all the flaps over with tweezers all at one time. That didn't go so well. Just took the time to fold them over one at a time and make them nice and even. It just looked better, worked out better. And all of these roof pieces have a little tiny piece that goes in the top corner, with the exception of the front of this one, which actually no. All of these top roof pieces, all three of them, have a tiny little piece in the corner. You put that in first before you put the roof on, and with this little one especially, it's kind of a tight squeeze having that corner piece holding it down while still trying to get it over the two tabs for the roof. And I considered opening one of the tabs of that little tiny triangular piece so that I could open the sides of the roof open to get them over all the tabs, but it flexed enough with the front piece I was able to get it over the two tabs holding the roof on without taking that center piece back out. The other two pieces are plenty large enough, that's not an issue. But beyond that, I feel like I'm almost over explaining the simplicity of this model, and it's really neat looking. I mean, if you're into the architecture, if you're into the different structures, this is a nice addition. I myself have been to a number of old country churches, so this looks rather familiar to me. I've certainly been into some buildings that are very similarly styled and possibly even smaller to this, but I bet they took a lot longer to build. Huh, bad pun of the day. I'll leave it at that. Pretty simple build. Neat to add to your collection. If you're into architecture, structures, and buildings, this is a really relaxing, easy one to throw together pretty quickly. Simpler than it looks, in my personal opinion. I'll leave it at that. I do want to thank, again, Metal Earth for sending me this model to review. I also want to thank my Patreon supporters for giving me the financial support to continue to make these build videos and review videos and weekly news videos, news about 3D metal models. If you enjoy these videos, you want to become a Patreon supporter, there's a link in the description down below and at the very end of this video. Always thank you for watching, and keep it on.